Welcome to SpaceThrillHFY. In a world where humanity stands on the edge of extinction, one soldier dares to defy an empire of fire. Chained above the raging sea, a beautiful dragon girl waits, betrayed by her own kind, bound in silence. When a human rises to break her chains, the universe itself trembles. Will freedom burn the world or light the path to hope? Stay with us till the end of this story. You don't want to miss the twists ahead. And if you love powerful HFY sci-fi tales, make sure to like, subscribe, and join the SpaceThrillHFY community today. The night sky burned red with fire. Explosions echoed across the ruined city, shaking glass towers until they crumbled like sand. Humans had fought many wars, but this one was different. This time it was not against each other. It was against creatures that once lived only in myths. Dragons, not beasts of fire and legend, but living, breathing aliens. They came from beyond the stars, scales shining like metal, wings tearing through the clouds. The world thought no human weapon could ever stand against them. But the strangest truth was not their power, it was their betrayal. Because among them was a girl. A dragon girl, half human in shape, half alien in blood. She was locked away by her own kind, chained in a prison made of burning light, her wings bound with energy shackles, and she was watching as her people tore the earth apart. No one knew her name. No one cared except one man, Elias Kane, a soldier who had already lost everything. His family, his home, his city, they were ash and dust now. He stood on the broken street, smoke rising around him, his rifle glowing faintly from heat. His eyes were sharp, filled with rage, but also something more. He had heard whispers, stories of a prisoner the dragons themselves feared, a girl hidden deep in their fortress, and he wanted to find her. Not because he trusted her, not because he believed she could save humanity, but because he had nothing left to lose. The war began without warning. One moment the skies were clear. The next, fire poured down from above. Dragons did not come to conquer, they came to purge. Their roars shook the air, their wings created storms. Human armies fired rockets, launched jets, unleashed every weapon known to man. But it was like throwing stones at the ocean. Fall back. Elias had heard his commander shout before the line broke. Men screamed, machines burned, cities fell. Yet in the chaos, Elias had seen something others missed. A flash of light, not from fire, but from a cage. High above, inside a fortress that hovered like a mountain of steel, he saw her. A figure, slim, tall, her body glowing faintly with golden scales that caught the flames around her. Her eyes burned, not with anger, but with sorrow. She was not free. She was a prisoner. Why would dragons imprison one of their own? Why would a creature born of fire be chained in silence? That mystery dug into Elias's mind, even as he fought to stay alive. And as the days turned into nights filled with endless battle, he made a decision. He would find her. He would break into the dragon fortress. He would free the one they feared to unleash. The thought itself was madness. One man against an empire of fire and wings. But madness was all humanity had left. He moved through the ruins at night, hiding among collapsed towers and shattered streets. Drones buzzed overhead, hunting survivors. Dragon soldiers, beasts in humanoid form, walked the city, their armor shining, their claws dripping with human blood. Elias stayed silent, his breath shallow, his body pressed against cold stone. Every night he looked up at the fortress. Every night he saw her silhouette through the glowing prison walls. And every night his resolve grew stronger. There was a moment when the world itself seemed to pause. A storm rolled over the ruined city, lightning flashing across the sky. The fortress shimmered in the storm's glow, and for the first time the dragon girl lifted her head. Her eyes met his. They were not eyes of a monster. They were eyes of someone begging to be saved. Elias froze. His heart pounded. Could she see him, hidden among the ashes? For a second he thought it was impossible, but then her lips moved. No sound carried, yet he could read it. Help me. The words carved into his soul like a blade. This was not just a mission anymore. This was destiny. The war raged on, but Elias had chosen his path. He would rise not just as a soldier, but as the one who dared to challenge an empire, the one who would shatter chains meant to hold a dragon girl captive. He did not know what power she carried. He did not know why her own kind feared her. But he would find out, and when he freed her, the world itself would change forever. The ruins shook again as another explosion lit up the sky. Elias tightened his grip on his weapon and stepped into the darkness. The story of survival was no longer enough. Now it was the story of rebellion. And rebellion began with her. The city slept in smoke. Ash fell like black snow, coating the broken streets and shattered towers. But Elias Kane did not sleep. His eyes were fixed on the fortress above, a floating mountain of steel and fire guarded by the alien dragons who had burned his world. It looked impossible to reach. The walls pulsed with red energy. Cannons stretched like giant claws, and patrols of winged soldiers circled the air. Every instinct told him it was suicide. But the image of her, the dragon girl in chains, kept his heart burning. Elias knew one truth. If her own kind feared her, then she was the key. The question was, the key to what? He crouched in the ruins of an old subway station, studying the fortress through a cracked lens. A stolen Dragon scout drone hummed faintly in front of him, wires ripped open, its circuits flickering. He had taken it down with a shot to the wing, then dragged it underground to strip its memory core. At first, the machine resisted. Its codes were alien, pulsing with symbols no human mind should understand. But Elias had patience. He fed it false signals, looped back its own language, and finally, the maps appeared. The fortress was not just a prison. It was a heart. At the very center, wrapped in energy walls, was her chamber. A single phrase glowed on the drone's interface, repeating like a warning. Contain the anomaly. The girl must never awaken. Awaken? Elias's chest tightened. Was she not just a prisoner? Was she sleeping? Or hiding something far greater? Thunder cracked above. He shoved the drone aside and stepped back into the night. His boots splashed into rain mixed with ash. The storm roared, but he pushed forward, weaving through broken alleys. Every shadow hid danger. Every silence threatened death. A screech tore the sky. Elias froze against a wall as a dragon soldier landed nearby, its claws scraping stone. Its body was armored, its wings folded tight, its burning eyes scanning the ruins. Another soldier followed, sniffing the air, growling in a language of growls and fire. Elias's hand tightened on his rifle. Sweat slid down his temple. If he fired, they would all come. If he moved, they would hear. The first soldier tilted its head. Its nostrils flared. For a breath, Elias thought it had him. Then thunder roared again, masking his scent, and the beast leapt away into the storm. He exhaled, heart hammering. The fortress glowed brighter now, its energy veins alive like rivers of fire. It was time. He followed the ruins until he reached the river, a black, poisoned stream where dead machines sank. Beyond it lay the launch pits where dragon crafts descended into the city. Each craft was massive, its wings folded like predators sleeping, its skin lined with scales of steel. And there, guarding the gates, was a spectacle Elias would never forget. A procession of chained prisoners, humans, men, women, even children. Dragged in iron cuffs by armored beasts, their cries echoed through the rain. The dragons herded them into the crafts like cattle, their whips cracking with fire. Elias's blood boiled. Every instinct screamed to attack, to free them. But if he died now, the girl remained in chains. And if the girl remained in chains, then humanity remained broken. He forced himself into the shadows, slipping along the edge of the pit. He climbed the broken wall of an old skyscraper, his body aching, his breath heavy. From the top, he saw the pathway into the fortress, an energy bridge stretching into the storm, glowing like veins of lightning. That was the way in. But it was suicide. Cannons lined the walls, soldiers patrolled the skies, drones scanned the ground. No man could cross, and then he saw her again. Through the storm, through the fortress walls, her light shone faintly. Her chains glowed, binding her wings, her arms. But her eyes found him again. This time he was sure. She saw him. And again her lips moved. Free me. The words shook him like thunder. She was not begging. She was commanding. Elias's fists clenched. His body trembled, not with fear, but with something deeper. A soldier's oath. A human's defiance, I will. He whispered into the storm. For the first time since the war began, he felt alive. This was not about survival anymore. This was about rising. Rising against gods of fire. Rising against chains older than time. He turned back, disappearing into the night. He needed weapons, allies, a way to cross that bridge of death. The world thought humanity was broken, but Elias Kane would show them. The war had only just begun. The storm passed, but the city did not breathe. Its towers still burned. Its people still hid. And above it all, the dragon fortress floated like a dark god in the sky. Elias Kane had prepared for 3 days. He had scavenged weapons from broken convoys, stolen energy cells from fallen soldiers, and mapped every patrol from the shadows. He learned the rhythm of the fortress, the way its drones scanned, the hours its soldiers rested, the weak points between its cannon arcs. But no plan was enough. Because what he was about to attempt was madness. At midnight he moved. The city was silent but alive with danger. Elias crept through alleys, climbed ruins, and reached the river of poison again. Across the black water, the fortress bridge glowed like fire veins stretching into the sky. His heart pounded. He activated the stolen drone core. The device flickered, sending out a false signal. For a breath, the scanners above faltered. The bridge shimmered, its guards distracted. Elias ran. The surface pulsed under his boots, energy crackling, threatening to throw him into the storm. Every step felt like walking on lightning. His rifle banged against his back, his breath echoed in his ears. Behind him, alarms began to stir, but he did not stop. He reached the fortress gates just as the energy field pulsed open. A troop of dragon soldiers marched out, their armor dripping with rain, their claws dragging chains of new prisoners. Elias pressed himself into the shadows, slipping inside before the gates sealed, and suddenly, he was there. Inside the beast's belly. The fortress was not like any human creation. Its walls were alive, glowing faintly with scales of metal that shifted as if breathing. Rivers of fire ran through conduits, lighting the halls with a crimson glow. The air smelled of smoke and iron, heavy with the sound of distant roars. Elias moved silently, every muscle tight. His mind screamed caution, but his heart whispered one word: her. He passed cages, dozens of humans chained and silent, their eyes hollow. When they saw him, some gasped. Others shook their heads, warning him. But he pressed a finger to his lips and moved on. If he freed them now, the fortress would rise against him before he reached her. Deeper he went, past the screams of tortured men, past halls lined with alien runes. And then he found something he did not expect, a human, not a prisoner, not a victim. A man in dragon armor, his face hidden behind a visor, but his stance unmistakable. When the soldier turned, Elias saw the truth, blue human eyes staring back. The man froze. So did Elias. You, Elias whispered, his rifle raised. The man ripped off the helmet, revealing scars across his face. He was older, weary but alive. Kane, he rasped. I thought you were dead. It was Commander Reese, Elias's own leader from the early days of the war. A man thought lost when the first dragon assault wiped out their battalion. Elias's heart twisted. Relief and rage crashed inside him. You're alive, but why are you here? Dressed like them? Reese's eyes darkened. His voice cracked with shame. Because survival demands it. You cannot fight them. You cannot win. I chose to live. Elias's chest burned. By serving them? Reese stepped closer, whispering urgently. Listen to me. There are things you don't understand. That girl, they didn't chain her because she is weak. They chained her because she is dangerous. She will destroy everything if she awakens. The words cut deep. Elias's rifle trembled in his hands. Dangerous? The girl whose eyes begged for freedom? The girl who whispered help me through her chains? She is not your savior, Reese hissed. She is a weapon. A weapon even the dragons fear. Silence fell. The fortress groaned around them, fire veins pulsing brighter. Elias's thoughts clashed like swords. Could Reese be right? Could freeing her doom them all? But then, the memory of her eyes burned inside him. Eyes not of a monster, but of someone imprisoned, betrayed, silenced. She asked me to free her, Elias whispered. Reese's face hardened. Then you are already lost. He reached for his blade. And in that moment, Elias knew there would be no turning back. Steel clashed with fire. The betrayal had begun. The clash of steel and fire echoed through the fortress. Elias Kane swung his blade, sparks flying as it met the burning edge of Commander Reese's alien weapon. The older man moved with skill born of years, his strikes heavy, his eyes filled with fury. You're blind, Kane, Reese shouted, forcing him back. She's not salvation, she's the end of us all. Elias gritted his teeth, parrying the strike. His arms shook with the impact, but his voice burned steady. No, the end of us is kneeling. And you already did. With a roar, he shoved Reese away, sending him crashing into the living wall. The fortress pulsed, reacting to their battle. Runes glowed, the floor shivered, alarms began to wail. Distant roars answered, as if the dragons themselves had heard the betrayal. Elias didn't wait. He sprinted deeper into the corridors, Rhys's curses echoing behind him. Every second was fire in his veins. He had no time for doubt. The girl's chains called him. The fortress changed as he ran. The walls grew brighter, the air hotter, the ground trembling with a heartbeat not of machines but of something alive. The deeper he went, the more he felt it, her presence, like a whisper crawling into his mind. Come closer. It was not a voice in his ears. It was inside him. A pull soft but unyielding. He clenched his fists, forcing himself forward. At last he reached it. The heart of the fortress. The chamber was vast, a cathedral of flame. Its pillars were not stone but living scales of crimson steel. Energy rivers flowed into the center, converging on a single cage suspended in the air. And inside, she waited. The dragon girl. Her body glowed faintly, wrapped in golden scales that shimmered like dawn. Her wings were folded tight, shackled with chains of burning light that pulsed with every heartbeat of the fortress. Her eyes opened slowly, locking onto him. For a moment, Elias forgot the war. He forgot the screams outside, the betrayal, the death. All he saw were those eyes, fierce, sorrowful, endless. You came, her voice whispered. Not in sound, but in his mind. Elias stepped closer, his chest rising and falling like a storm. Who are you? Why do they fear you? Her gaze lowered, sadness washing over her face. Because I'm not like them. I was born different. My fire does not obey their will. My blood carries power they cannot control. The chains pulsed, tightening around her arms, making her flinch. Elias's fists clenched in rage. They chained you because you're stronger than them. She looked up again, and for the first time a smile ghosted her lips. They chained me because I could choose. And they fear choice, the fortress groaned. Energy flared. The runes on the walls burned brighter. Elias realized the chamber itself was alive, feeding on her, draining her strength to power the war. She was not just a prisoner. She was the fortress's heart. If she died, the fortress lived. If she lived, the fortress died. Elias's breath caught. The truth struck like a hammer. Rhys's warning returned. She is a weapon, not a prisoner only, but the very core of the enemy's power. Free me, she whispered. Her eyes shone like molten gold. And I will burn their empire to ash, alarms screamed. The chamber shook. Soldiers stormed in, winged beasts, claws drawn, eyes burning. Behind them came Rhys, his armor scarred, his blade blazing. Don't do it, Cain, Rhys bellowed, raising his weapon. If you free her, you don't save us, you doom us. Elias's heart thundered. His mind screamed with doubt. Around him the chamber blazed with fire and fury. Ahead of him the girl's chains glowed, daring him to shatter them. Behind him Rhys charged, blade aimed for his back. Time slowed. Every choice he had ever made, every loss, every scream of his people brought him to this moment. Would he believe Rhys, the man who chose survival through surrender? Or would he believe her, the prisoner whose eyes begged for freedom but promised fire? Elias roared, raising his weapon. Sparks lit the chamber, soldiers closed in, and the fortress itself trembled. And then, he struck. The chains shattered. For a heartbeat, silence consumed the chamber. The glowing shackles of fire cracked, splintered, and then burst apart in a storm of molten sparks. Elias's strike had broken what even alien technology swore could never be broken. The dragon girl fell to her knees, gasping as the burning light dissolved from her body. Her wings twitched, unfolding for the first time in years. Scales shimmered like liquid gold beneath the crimson glow of the fortress. And then, her scream tore through the air. It was not the scream of a prisoner. It was the scream of a storm. The entire fortress shuddered. Energy veins along the walls fractured like broken glass. Flames roared through conduits, exploding in showers of light. Soldiers stumbled, clutching their heads, their roars drowned by her rising voice. Elias staggered back, shielding his eyes. Heat slammed into him like a living wave. For a moment he feared Rhys had been right, that by freeing her he had unleashed a fire too great for any man to control. But then, her eyes opened. Golden. Fierce. Alive. She looked at him, and in that gaze was not madness, not cruelty, but a fury shaped by chains, and a promise carved by suffering. Stand behind me, her voice thundered inside his mind. The first soldiers charged. Wings spread, claws sharp, fangs dripping fire. Dozens of them. The dragon girl rose slowly, her wings stretching wide until they filled the chamber. With one breath, she exhaled fire unlike any flame Elias had seen. It was not red nor orange, it was white. Pure, blinding, holy fire. The soldiers screamed as it washed over them. Armor melted, wings burned, claws turned to ash. They fell one by one, their roars cut short by the cleansing blaze. The chamber shook, but she stood firm, her chains gone, her fury unleashed. Elias's chest pounded. For the first time, he saw why her kind feared her. She was not just powerful, she was power itself. But the battle was not over. Through the flames, Commander Reese pushed forward, his armor blackened but his eyes burning. "You fool!" he roared, swinging his blade. "She will kill us all." Elias met him head-on, blades clashing again. Sparks flew, their duel framed by the inferno raging around them. Reese's strikes were desperate, savage, filled with the strength of a man clinging to survival. Elias's strikes were sharp, relentless, fueled by belief. Behind them, the dragon girl raised her hands. Her chains had left scars glowing across her arms, and from those scars, fire poured like rivers. With every motion, the fortress cracked further, its heart no longer beating in control but in chaos. Elias blocked Reese's strike and spat blood. "You gave up on humanity," he growled. "But I never will." He twisted his blade, slamming the hilt into Reese's jaw. The older man fell back, staggering, his face twisted in rage. The dragon girl stepped forward now, her voice filling the chamber. "Your fortress lives on my fire. Without me, it dies." The runes on the walls flared violently, the floor trembling like the world itself was breaking. Soldiers screamed in retreat. The walls cracked. Energy rivers burst into wild streams of lightning. Elias turned to her, sweat and blood dripping down his face. "Then kill it. Burn it all." She looked at him, her golden eyes softening. "If I do, this place falls. The city below will burn with it." The words cut deep. Elias's stomach twisted. He had thought freeing her meant salvation, but now salvation itself demanded a price. If she destroyed the fortress, humanity's last survivors in the city would be consumed in the firestorm. Reese rose again, his voice hoarse but sharp. "See, she is death itself. She cannot save you, Cain. She will only bury us with the enemy." The dragon girl lowered her head, sorrow flickering in her gaze. "I can destroy them, but I cannot choose who burns with them." Silence filled the chamber for one trembling moment. The air was fire. The walls cracked. The fortress screamed. Elias's heart pounded like a drum. The choice lay in his hands now. Not just his survival, not just hers, but the fate of everyone still alive below. If she burned the fortress, the dragons would fall. But so would the city. If she stayed chained to power, the war would drag on, endless, hopeless. And between those two impossible paths, Elias had to rise. The fortress shook like a dying beast. Walls split apart, fire poured from the veins, and the screams of soldiers echoed as the dragon girl's power rose higher. Yet in the heart of the storm, Elias Cain stood frozen, caught between two impossible fates. Destroy the fortress and save the world, yet burn the survivors below. Spare the fortress and watch humanity wither under endless chains. The dragon girl's eyes met his, glowing with sorrow and fury. "Choose, Elias, I cannot hold back much longer." Commander Reese limped forward, face twisted in blood and rage. "Don't be a fool!" "Let her stay chained. At least some of us will live. At least the world will not burn in her madness." Elias's grip tightened on his blade. His body trembled, not with fear, but with the weight of every life pressing down on him. He thought of the children in the cages. He thought of the fires swallowing his home. He thought of her, chained for years by her own kind, punished because she carried the freedom they feared. "No," he whispered, his voice cut through the chaos. "I will not trade chains for ashes. If humanity is to survive, it must be free, and free at any cost." The dragon girl's eyes widened. For the first time, hope flickered across her face. "Then stand with me," she said. Elias roared, lifting his blade. Reese charged at him, desperate, screaming curses. Their weapons clashed one final time, sparks flying. Elias drove his knee forward, slamming Reese to the ground. His blade rose, and with one swift strike, he ended the man who had chosen surrender. The commander's eyes went wide in shock, then dimmed forever. Elias turned back to her. "Do it," he said. The dragon girl spread her wings, scars blazing with golden fire. Her chains, broken and scattered, lit the floor like falling stars. She rose into the air, her voice shaking the walls. For every chain they bound, for every life they stole, let fire return fire. Her scream became a roar. A white inferno erupted from her body, bursting through the fortress. The walls cracked like eggshells. Towers collapsed. Cannons melted. Energy rivers burst upward, lashing the sky with lightning. The fortress fell apart piece by piece, burning from the inside out. Elias shielded his eyes, but still he stood, refusing to kneel. The fire rushed past him, but it did not burn him. Instead, it wrapped around him, a shield of living flame. Below, the city shook. Survivors screamed as the sky rained fire. Yet as the fortress broke, the girl bent her power. Not fully, not perfectly, but enough. Her fire turned outward, away from the ruins below, bursting toward the heavens instead of the earth. It was not perfect. The city still burned in parts. Towers still crumbled. But thousands lived who should have died. The fortress collapsed in a storm of ash. From the ruins, she descended slowly, wings glowing, eyes blazing with exhaustion but alive. Elias stood waiting, his blade broken, his body scarred, but his spirit unbroken. When she landed, the flames around her dimmed. For the first time, she looked not like a prisoner, not like a weapon, but like someone free. "You chose me," she whispered. Elias nodded, his voice steady. "I chose freedom, and you are freedom." The world around them was still in ruins, the war not yet won. But in that moment, something greater than victory had been born. A human who rose when all others knelt. And a dragon girl, once chained by her own kind, now unbound and blazing with fire. Together, they were not just survivors. They were a spark. A spark that could ignite the ashes of the world into something new. The wind carried ash through the broken city. Survivors stared upward, watching the two figures stand against the burning sky. And for the first time in years, they did not feel fear. They felt hope. Elias turned to her, his eyes sharp, his voice calm despite the firestorm behind him. "This is not the end. This is the beginning." She looked back at him and a smile spread across her face, fierce and bright. "Then let's rise together." And so they walked forward out of the ruins into a world forever changed by fire and choice.